Inheritance is a tricky, tricky topic. I personally went to my parents and said, I don't want to plan on inheritance. I want you guys to spend what you want. Now, that was a conversation that I could have after many years of therapy and just wanting to make sure they were sleeping better at night, knowing that I just wanted to have happen whatever they wanted. Now, a lot of times, I know family dynamic is tricky. It's weird to bring it up. So, mom, dad, if you were to pass away, how much money am I going to get? Obviously, don't ask it like that. There are very nice ways of inviting someone to speak about it. What we're talking about today is the financial side. Should you plan on inheritance? What if you don't get the inheritance? Does that mean your plan is still okay? In our new series, Root Drops, you're about to hear from one of our amazing advisors at Root Financial to get some insight on inheritance, how to plan for it, and some other considerations. What prompts this particular episode today? Well, it was a question from our community. This is our free community called the Root Collective. I'm going to read a question now that gives you some insight as to why on earth this is what we're talking about. So you can see on my screen here, this comes from Jay Douglas. And Jay Douglas says, a future inheritance is looming, planning not straightforward. I've been binge watching videos by James and Ari for a couple of weeks now, love the non-cookbook info, and figured I should join this group. I'm 4 years retired. I'm 63. I'm living comfortably on my pension with my wife. He didn't have to flex on us with the pension, but, Jay Douglas, okay. We also have my IRA, Roth IRAs, investment account, emergency funds, eventually Social Security. Jokes aside, he's in a good spot. Lots of different accounts. He has a pension. So my first gut is inheritance needed? Let's read further here. He says, the past 2 years, I've been doing Roth conversions, filling up to 12%, but have not yet been spending any of it. I know that's going to change. I've been thinking about maybe an eventual inheritance IRA coming to me and whether I should be presumptuous upon the not yet inheritance. Okay, I'm not going to read the whole question, but I'm going to summarize. He says at the end here, obviously so much of this depends on the age timing of receiving the inheritance, but it could fall in line with my own RMDs. Appreciate any thoughts. Okay. So there's a lot to unpack there. He has a lot of different accounts. He has a pension, upcoming Social Security. What we want to do is give this person some insight so that he can sleep better at night, knowing he's considering what he needs to consider. Obviously, never one-on-one financial advice, but you're about to hear from one of my amazing advisors, Naomi. Naomi, any thoughts here?
Yeah, thanks, Ari. So Roth conversions are really exciting. It's like the sexy buzzword right now because you've probably seen a case study from Ari or James, which shows how much they can save you. We find a lot of people are conversion happy. What does that mean? That's when you're so excited to do Roth conversions that you don't really factor other things first, which may actually mean you don't need to do Roth conversions. And I'm not saying that's the case here, but definitely something to consider. It can be difficult to model precisely how an inheritance affects your plan due to the fact that so many variables are unknown. However, an advisor or financial planning tool, if you're savvy, can help you model a range of different scenarios to help illustrate potential tax outcomes of various amounts of inheritance. When it comes to planning around inheritance, I tend to take a more conservative approach. So I talk to a lot of people who wonder how to plan around inheritance. Personally, I likely won't be getting one just because of the way I grew up. Grew up relatively poor, and that's also what ended up driving me to become a financial advisor and learn about all of these topics and have that drive to teach people as well. So, Jay Douglas, you have a really good problem. You're wondering how to plan around your potential inheritance. You may just feel better knowing that your financial plan stands on its own without relying on assets that aren't technically guaranteed yet, but don't do what we see often, which is completely ignore it if there's a reality that it could be part of your plan. Circumstances can change really quickly, so it's important to run projections both with and without inheritance to really understand the full range of possibilities and avoid any kind of overdependence on uncertain outcomes. You also mentioned that you're working on shifting from a saving to spending mindset, which I think is one of the most important, if not the most important transition in retirement. It certainly doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of time, a lot of reflection and intentionality to make that shift. So while Roth conversions are a great tool to manage your future tax burden, so is simply spending from your IRA. So it's worth considering what would make your retirement even more fulfilling. Whether that's traveling more, upgrading a car, or spending more time with loved ones, your money's there to support those goals. So the question becomes, how can your money help you live the life that you envisioned in retirement? You likely didn't spend your working years saving with the ultimate vision just being that you want to save on taxes in the future. It's important to let the plan support the life that you envisioned and dream about, not just focus on optimizing your taxes. So, as Ari says, it's important to not let the tax tail wag the life dog.
We have never had someone reach out and go, I'm so glad our average return was 6.329612%, or we did so many Roth conversions, it was just so awesome. We are so glad that we prioritize that over giving to our kids or retiring earlier or spending more. Guys, that's not what happens here. So what I think Naomi touched on, which is really important that I hope you take away from this, is yes, Roth conversions are valuable, but there are a lot of people, like Naomi said, that are conversion happy, partly because it sounds cool. It's like my neighbor's not doing that. And I saw in this video, it can save tons of taxes. This person's already converting and he's been doing it for a long time. The reality is maybe we should spend more. Maybe we should consider going, what could we do that would make our life better with money? And there becomes a point where no matter how much money you have, your life really doesn't change. I don't know where this person is at. So like Naomi said, we'd want to ask way more questions to dive deep. But the overall sentiment here with inheritance is we don't want for you to plan on inheritance, have it not come in, and now all of a sudden your plan does not work. We also don't want you to do what a lot of people do, which is, I'm just not going to plan for it at all. And then it does come, and then there are big tax consequences. And if we just thought about it a little bit and were adults about it, which it sounds bad saying that, but I joke, I'm the meanest advisor on YouTube. Promise I'm not mean, just very transparent. If the reality is it's going to be there because there's been a conversation with a parent, what we don't want to do is just totally ignore it. And we are humans. We are not robots. I know personally, my dad, he did not plan on any inheritance. He did not want to talk about it. The idea of him thinking about inheritance meant that his dad was dying. So he put in his head, I'm not going to connect those dots. I'm planning on no inheritance. Then inheritance hit. Then there were big tax consequences because they didn't plan on it. Now, he would argue that was still better because he didn't have to think about it, but he admits that although he's in his 70s, he can be a 5-year-old at times. So if you resonated with today's episode and you're personally about to potentially inherit a lot of money or stock or other assets, and you're wondering, hey, how should I plan around that? And I've personally been thinking about Roth conversions, but maybe I don't need to do them. I really like the way Naomi explained that. Can I work with Naomi? Of course. Naomi's taking on new clients, and if you go to our website, rootfinancial.com, in the upper right, you'll see a little button, and that button says, see if you're a fit. If you click on that and you answer a few questions, you'll then have the opportunity to start working with Naomi very soon, as well as any of our other advisors. Hopefully you resonated with this episode of Root Drops. I only have one request. We make all this content for free. Whether you're a client of Root or you're just watching and listening, I didn't read the full comment. That was what prompted today's episode. In there, they said, we don't quite have the $2 million yet to work with Root, our current minimum, but we appreciate the content. If you appreciate the content, all I ask is you like this, you comment if there's something that you learned, and that you share it with someone you want to retire early with. It's way more fun to retire early with friends. That's it for this episode. We'll see you guys next time.